Here's William Cohan, or Cohen, but I've never seen the name Cohen spelled Cohan. It's usually Coen or Cohen. But he was a mergers and acquisitions banker for years, turned finance writer, whose body of work includes service for companies like Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan Chase, and GE Capital. Real man of the people here. Let's hear him say, the problem is the American people just don't want to be happy. They just like being unhappy.
A thread question from Professor Peacock. He goes, I'd like to see you explore why people think the economy is bad when the economic data says otherwise. You saw those poll numbers. People think it's bad.
I don't have an explanation for why people think it's bad, because objectively it is
they don't
good.
have
It's
money.
hard to
That's why they think it's bad. I think it's bad because they don't have a lot of money.
That's it. Because they can't afford a house. They're not getting paid a living wage. They have to work their asses off. They have to work harder and harder for less and less money. And they have less and less ability to get ahead in the society, to start a business, to open a shop, to own a home, which is the main source of wealth generation for families, has been in this country for a long time. It's not even just what you're making. It's also about what you can afford.
Right. Exactly. That's why the UPS workers are getting ready to go on strike. They're not doing that because they want to be unhappy, right? And then doing that for fun, right? By the way, this guy's the only guy who saw Donald Trump's spray tan and thought, I can go for that myself.
Yeah. I like that look. Hey, where do you get that can? Yeah, what is that, number 46 shade?
Yeah, right, exactly.
imagine it could be much better. It truly is. I mean, yes, inflation could be lower, but unemployment could hardly be lower.
See, what did I say? Unemployment. Right. That's the red herring they always like to point to. Do you point to how much money people are making at the jobs? No. If people were making enough, there wouldn't be a strike wave going on.
The economy, our economy is growing. Our GDP is growing.
Same arguments this morning,
interest
Joe.
rates, were ratcheted up quickly beginning in March of 2021 and 2022. I would have thought, frankly, that would slow the economy down a lot faster and further than it has, which just goes to prove it takes a long time for higher interest rates to work their way into the economy. But, bankruptcies are not, exploding left and right. The economy is still growing. I don't know. Looks pretty good to me.
Do you think there's an element, people just like being unhappy?
People like being unhappy about a lot of things in America right now, and unfortunately. And I think, when, say, Mitch McConnell...
Yeah, no, people like biting their nails while writing out the rent check, right? People like sweating on the grocery bill receipt. They like that. People like worrying if they're going to have enough money to pay the gas bill, right? It's just a great American pastime, fretting over not having enough money.
It's just a bunch of whiners.
Right. Exactly.
I blame smartphones.
Right.
It's the smartphones have just made them weak and feckless.
Right. Exactly. I mean, these people wonder why they are as hated as they are, why the institutions that they uphold are as hated as they are. And then they'll come on the air and just say, but yeah, no, people just like being desperate and poor and miserable and unfulfilled.
Says his goal is to make sure Barack Obama doesn't have a second term. When he says, I'm not going to allow a Supreme Court justice to be nominated that should have been nominated by Barack Obama. When Donald Trump says, he won the election when he lost the election. I mean, I think people are just in a foul mood, so nobody wants to give Joe Biden credit for what is really a remarkable situation with the economy. You think?
Yeah. The nation got up on the wrong side of the bed, all at the same time. That's what it is. No, I mean, this is really French Revolution level stuff, right? Yeah, this is let's eat cake.
Right.
Oh,
of course.
Why are they so angry? Why, look at all we're providing for them. It's just unbelievably tone deaf. And when you look at the numbers we're looking at on child poverty, that's how sick these people are. I'm sure Scarborough saw some number somewhere that allowed him to make that statement. And he never looked at what the underlying realities of how many people are living in poverty there are. He read some stat somewhere that there was a drop at some point.
Right.
And he just ran with that. See, the childhood poverty is dropping. Okay, so let's say, for the sake of argument, that it was 1 in 4 children living in poverty, and now it's 1 in 5. For the sake of argument, why would you feel that's something to be proud of?
Right.
Even if it's 1 in 5, is that a system that's working to you? Really?
Right. Especially when you proved that you could cut it in half for whatever that stimulus was, whatever the child tax credit costs. I forget what it was. What was it? Something like $50 billion or something like that. I forget exactly what the number was. Let's say it was double that. Let's say it was 5 times that. Let's say it was $250 billion to cut child poverty in half. Well, by that logic, you could eliminate it entirely for $500 billion. What excuse is there not to do that, right? That's if you're going to take a victory lap for cutting it in half. But they took a victory lap for cutting it in half, and then they let the child tax credit expire where it almost doubled back to where it was before a second time. So how are you touting this alleviation of child poverty when you took something that you knew worked, you only went halfway, and then you undid that progress? So what the hell are you talking about? Child poverty is the lowest point in a generation. Like you said, if you're speaking very technically and you're proud that it dropped by 20% from 1 in 4 to 1 in 5, is that really something to be touting in the same essay that you're talking about military expansionism and global domination? Like, you're bragging about the footprint that we put on the rest of the world, while at the same time acknowledging this very marginal at best fix to a crippling and morally abhorrent problem that you're allowing to fester in some capacity, at least, here at home.
Please clap.